Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Had a whole bunch of people send me this story. Thank you very much. From lawandcrime.com. Jamie Fravel wrote it. Judge rules that a woman who witnessed her son's dog being mowed down by a monster driver can sue for emotional damages and refer to the dog as being part of the immediate family. A New York judge has ruled that dogs can be treated as members of someone's immediate family, and a dog's family can sue for emotional damages if they witness the dog being harmed. Now, you might say, Steve, why is the word immediate there? What's the difference between being part of the immediate family and being part of the family? And there is a distinction in the law. And in many places, there are lawsuits that can be filed for emotional damages along with other types of damages. And if you see something very, very bad happen, it might affect you emotionally. And so many states say that if you witness an immediate family member being harmed, it can be something you can try to recover for in court. And so here, somebody was trying to say, well, no, it's a dog. It's not part of your family. It's not a family member. And the law tends to think of things that you have as property, and family members are parents, siblings, children, and so on. And so I've always thought that at the very least, dogs and cats and so on are more than mere property. So suppose that you have a bicycle and somehow I run over your bicycle. Okay, I can buy you a new bicycle. I can hand you a check for a brand new bicycle. Okay? But your dog, handing you a check for replacement value does not cut it. And I strongly believe that. In a ruling issued by a judge in Brooklyn recently, the family members of a 4-year-old dachshund can ask for emotional damages in their lawsuit against the driver who killed him. According to court documents seen by Gothamist, the dog was fatally hit by a car nearly 2 years ago, was being walked by the mother of the owner of the dog. The dog was on a leash, and the driver was reportedly speeding, and there may have been some other things done wrong by the driver, but in an interview with the New York Post, the woman who's walking the dog recounted the traumatic experience of seeing the dog run over on the 4th of July in 2023 by a car driven by the defendant in the case. So a lawsuit was filed. The incident was caught on surveillance cameras. So this is not something not that debatable as to what happened. And the driver failed to stop at a stop sign and then made a left turn without using his turn signal onto the street where the woman was walking the dog. She was almost hit herself, and she can be seen jumping out of the way of the vehicle. But the dog was not so lucky. And the woman told the Post it was very traumatic, extremely. I was hysterical when it happened. She added, it took a step to get out of the way of this monster who not only ran a stop sign, but was making a turn. If you don't see the stop sign, how do you see people? It's like he was driving with his eyes closed and yet was able to make a left turn. I can't even understand it. So the owner of the dog posted later that day on his Instagram account, a few hours ago, a man blew a stop sign, almost hit my mother, and hit my poor, sweet Duke and killed him. I can't even believe I'm typing these words right now. I love this dog more than life itself, and things will never be the same without him. So the family, that is the mother and the son, sued the driver a month later for negligent driving, endangering the mother and causing mental distress. The defendant's attorneys argued that the woman and the owner of the dog could not ask for compensation for emotional toll because Duke was not a member of their immediate family. He was technically only their property, saying that the family could only sue for the dollar value of the dog, which is about $1,500. And then, of course, his medical expenses apparently that were incurred somewhere along the way, but $1,500. And again, if you've ever had dogs, cats, other kinds of pets, you understand that if somebody were to violently kill your pet and say, oh, I can cut you a check. Here, take my money. So the judge made an interesting decision here, agreeing that the owner of the dog was only entitled to sue for the amount that the dog cost. However, when it came to the mother who witnessed the violent killing, the judge said absolutely she can sue for that because she suffered. And the judge wrote in his ruling, since she was tethered to Duke at the time of the accident, it is proper for her to recover damages for emotional distress resulting from witnessing the death and a fear for her own safety, all due to defendant's negligent, indeed reckless operation of his vehicle. But the judge seems to actually have gone further than that, writing, it is reasonable for a jury to conclude that witnessing the dog being crushed led to emotional distress that goes beyond that which is generally felt by the loss of mere property. So getting back to hypotheticals here. If you're walking your bike across the street and someone loses control of their vehicle or they're driving crazy and you drop your bike and jump out of the way and they run your bike over, yeah, they can hand you a check, go buy a new bike. Dog? It's not the same. It is not the same. Court wrote, this court fails to see why a beloved companion pet could not be considered immediate family in the context of the zone of danger doctrine under the fact pattern presented by plaintiffs. So the judge was seemingly considering the precedent he was setting in his ruling, including a carve-out that the ruling only applies to pets being walked on a leash, although you can understand that that very well could be something that you can get around depending on how close you are to the animal, where the animal is, and so on. But he also acknowledged that it stands to reason that companion animals like Duke could also be recognized as a matter of common sense as immediate family. According to the New York Post, the defendant in the case did not present any evidence in his own defense, at least not yet, and this ruling will allow the lawsuit to proceed to trial. So the fact that it hasn't gone to trial yet is why I'm not really paying too much attention to the previous sentence about the man not presenting anything in his own defense. Because what is going on here, I believe, is a summary judgment question. I've mentioned before that if you file a lawsuit against somebody, or they file one against you, and if somebody looks at all the facts of the case as they are before you've gone to trial, and says, there's no case here, or there's a legal issue the judge can rule on that will dispose of something. So what appears to have happened here is the mother and son filed a lawsuit against the driver of the vehicle, saying, the son did, that I want to be compensated for the loss of my dog. And the mother saying, I want to be compensated for having seen what I saw. That was emotionally traumatic for me. And apparently the defendants came into court and said, we understand the son, replacement value for the dog, here's a check for $1,500. But the mother, what does she get? She didn't own the dog, and her claim for emotional damages would only make sense if that dog was immediate family, which prior to this meant an actual person, a person. And this judge is saying, no, I don't think that distinction makes sense here. She saw an immediate family member get run over by a crazy driver. Although they didn't refer to the driver as crazy, but their actions, I think, were described as reckless, negligent, and so on. And so what will happen now is this can go to trial with a jury if they want one, if they ask for one. And so a jury is going to get to decide. And that's primarily what defendants want to do, is keep a case from getting to a jury. Because I can tell you right now, if I'm on the jury with these facts, I'm going to award some damages above and beyond the replacement value of a dog. Because in my mind, there is no replacement value. And so you've got to look instead at other factors. And here they're going to be looking at how traumatic would it be for the mother to see that happen to her son's dog that is part of the family. So it's an interesting case. And I actually know attorneys who've dabbled in animal law. And this is a topic that comes up. And I've heard of some egregious cases where things have happened to people's animals at the hands of others through negligence or whatever. And in some states, they literally say you are entitled to replacement damages. What's it cost to get another dog? And you know what that means if you got a dog from the Humane Society? What's it cost to go get another dog from the Humane Society? Might not be that much. But is that the value of your pet? No, it's not. It's not. So I agree with this ruling. Many people will not. And of course, if it went up on appeal, the question is what would happen there? Because that, of course, is where a higher court could look at this and go, we can't have this law on the books with this kind of interpretation. Or they might say, no, it's time that we actually recognize this, because this is moving in the more modern direction, I believe. That is allowing for more than the replacement value of a pet. So from lawandcrime.com, a lot of people sent it. Thanks a lot. Jamie Fravel wrote that. Judge rules that a woman who witnessed her son's dog being mowed down by a monster driver can sue for emotional damages. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. The question isn't who's going to let me, it's who is going to stop me.